Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of Pedigree Radio. I'm your host, Jared Golnitz. You can find our show on the web at pedigreeradio.com for this live stream as well as show chat and other features. Hi everyone. First things first, we would like to offer our prayers and condolences to the family of Mr. Olin Gentry. By all accounts, Mr. Gentry was a dedicated husband, father, and a fine horseman who certainly was from a very historic, well-known racing family. And we're sorry to hear about his death at the age of 51, as reported on Blood Horse. So many of you may be asking why, and so I'll start off with our mission here on Pedigree Radio, and that is that we would like to provide a forum, an interactive, live forum for discussion of intermediate and advanced studies of thoroughbred breeding theories, nicks, patterns, strategies, and historical figures. We'll strive to bring relevant guests and topics to the table and give listeners a voice. We will also provide question and answer capabilities for requests for matings for your mare based on pedigree strategies that are discussed commonly on the show. So let me go over things that we will not discuss. We will not discuss wagering. We will not discuss commercial sales market, except for if we see a curious cross that is worthy of some discussion on the on a catalog. This show is not about the beauty contests that a lot of the sales turn out to be. We're going to talk a lot about stallions who may have a long history of getting good runners, but just don't have babies that sell well for whatever reason. So we're not going to talk about the commercial sales market much because it's really not very closely connected to our topic here that we'll be discussing every week. So just wanted to let you know about that. So we're also not going to talk about race analysis, or do any jockey or trainer analysis. And just want to tell you about some of the tools we're going to be using. The first is pedigreequery.com. This is one of my favorites. First off, it's free for some of its features and very low cost for the rest of its features. So, a lot of those features are, you can look at extended pedigrees beyond 5 generations. You can look at line breeding reports to see duplicated ancestors out to 9 or 10 generations. And so that is a very valuable tool for those of us who believe that the resulting full pedigree beyond the second or third generation matters. And another tool we'll be using is G1 Goldmine Stallion Match for stallions that are sponsored on G1 Goldmine. And hopefully we can maybe get Leo Sasaronis on the line someday as a guest, and he can further explain his great product that he has. A lot of the farms in Kentucky are starting to use it. Some of the farms in a lot of the major markets in Maryland and Florida are also starting to use it. So let's dive right in. The first pedigree we'll be talking about is, of course, our Triple Crown winner, Justify. And Justify's pedigree is just an absolute treasure trove of Rasmussen factor. So for those who don't know, Rasmussen factors, the idea that inbreeding or line breeding to superior mares can produce outstanding results in a mating and the resulting foal. So if we take a look at Justify's pedigree close up, you have a colt by Scat Daddy out of the Ghost Zapper mare Stage Magic. Second dam is by Pulpit. Third dam is by Baldski. And then the fourth dam is Cap the Moment by For the Moment. Fifth dam is by Thinking Cap. And the sixth dam is by Jet Pilot, who is also present in Seattle Slew. And so a lot of what you get with Scat Daddy is Mr. Prospector, Nijinsky. You get another line of each in the dam through pulpit, and you also get the cross of Blue-Eyed Momo through Ajajian in Johannesburg, who is the sire of Scat Daddy, and Busanda. So Blue-Eyed Momo and Busanda are basically full siblings in blood, and so you not only get the double of the full siblings Yarn and Preach, but you also get the full sister in blood of Blue-Eyed Momo and Busanda. Busanda being the dam of Buckpasser. And, there's also a very good hypothetical mating to show in showing the cross of the dams of both Buckpasser and Ajinski. It's a very interesting cross that we will explore further. And so beyond the 5th generation, we'll go to the line breeding report for Justify. And one of the big things that shows up is a 7x7x6 cross of the race mare Teleria. And so she was a stakes-winning mare in the International Handicap at 3, and she was mostly raced in Canada, and is the dam of Honest Pleasure and For the Moment, and so she had some good runners, but she has crossed 3 times outside of the 5-generation cross, and so she doesn't show up readily unless you expand out the pedigree. But you certainly get something royal 7x7x9, so that's not readily apparent either. You get, of course, Latroin, who's a 9-8-9-9, and that's what's just shown at 9 generations. So we can go out to 10 generations here and see what we get for Latroin. And she shows up 9x8x9x9x10, and so we know we have at least 5 lines of Latroin, who most of us know is a just an absolutely endemic player in the thoroughbred gene pool. So if we go and we look at the cross of Busanda and Flaming Page, and those are the dams of Buckpasser and Nijinsky, respectively. What we get is interior doubles through both daughters for Blue Larkspur. You get male and female sex switch of Man of War up close. And then you also get plenty of Plucky Liege, who is also endemic. And if you look at the pedigree of Roberto, who was actually a mating that was planned by Olin Gentry's grandfather, Olin Gentry. And we'll be talking a lot about Olin Gentry, the elder, in many future breedings, because he certainly left his mark all up and down Kentucky, and left Kentucky Derby winners basically everywhere he went. So, and also in the Busanda Flaming Page cross are male and female strains of Teddy, and an interesting note is that in Flaming Page, the second dam Flaring Top is doubled to Ultimus. Ultimus was not raced. He was unraced, but is a very highly inbred animal. He is by a son of Domino and out of a daughter of Domino, so a 2x2 to Domino. I've heard of people cringing at doing 2 to 3 line inbreedings or 3 to 3 inbreedings, but it seems that even a 2x2 did not hurt Ultimus as a producer, and it enabled him to really send his genes forward. So if you want to look at also the pedigree of Quiet American is also very highly inbred. He is by Fabiano, who was out of a Dr. Fager mare, Kilolo, and he was out of a Dr. Fager mare directly in Demure, and so that created a 2-3 to Dr. Fager, and then his Fabiano's third dam and also Quiet American's third dam are the same mare in Sequillo. So the dam of Fabiano, who is Kilolo, and the dam of Quiet American, Dr. Fager or Demure, are almost the same horse as far as their blood. There's only a slight variation in there in the second dam sire, and so I think that those type of things need to be considered when people are thinking about whether to inbreed or not. Is that it can produce some very stellar results if done properly. Anyway, back to Justify. So if we go back and look at his pedigree and we go out to 6 generations, we will find additional crosses of Secretariat, a 7x7 of Secretariat through APND and Stormcat, and also a double of Hawaii, a 5x6 strain of Hawaii in both parents. And so, aside from the Mr. Prospector, Narrate, and Nijinsky lash-ups, you have a lot of other similarities. There's also seems to be a very strong nick between In Reality and Buckpasser. And so if we look at a hypothetical mating of In Reality and Buckpasser, both are pretty endemic to the breed at this point. And what you have is doubles of Bulldog, doubles of Man of War, doubles of looks like doubles of North Star, at least looking at a 6th generation cross between those two. A Black Tony, a double Black Tony, Fair Play, a quadruple of Fair Play, actually. So one of the techniques taught to me by one of my pedigree mentors, and my main one actually, Les Brinsfield in Kentucky. If you want to try to really truly find out what's making a cross click with a horse, take every ancestor in the dam and run it against every ancestor in the sire, and see if any really close